That's annoying, isn't it? Good evening, everyone. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to 2023. Happy New Year. Hope you had a really nice Christmas, although it seems like it was an absolute age ago now. Welcome to my garage. Welcome back to my garage. I haven't been in here for a while, have I? There's a fly in here. It's clearly January 2023. If your work does the same thing that my work does, they pay you early in December, so you've got spare money to buy your Christmas presents with, which is great, but then it means it's about 7 weeks till payday. So I'm skint, as I assume probably a lot of you are as well, especially if you've got kids and stuff like that. I may be skint, but I still want to do modifications to my bike. But what can you do when you've got no money? I still have a way. I have got these things. I'm doing that because there's a big light there, which is reflecting. These are Race Talk's Throttle Spacers. Really, really simple things. I mean, I don't know if you can actually see if I bring that closer. They are literally just little tiny bits of plastic that fit in your throttle. But you're saying, why do I need that, Sam? Let me show you. Before I get going with this will work for some of you won't need it. Some bikes are better than others with this sort of stuff, but it is a Euro 5 regulation thing. A lot of new bikes nowadays will have a gap between when the throttle starts to open and when it actually engages. You might feel a little bit of slack before the throttle even starts engaging, which is fine, but it makes for a little bit more of a lumpy engagement down the low end. The bikes that are quite well known for it are some Triumphs like the T120s and stuff like that, a lot of Ducatis, and quite a few of the KTMs, the more powerful KTM models, are all known for it as well. Before I get really far into it, they might not do these for your bike if you don't own a Ducati or KTM or Triumph. Various companies do them. Just have a look on Google, search Throttle Spacer, enter your name of bike here. Now I've got that out of the way, let me show you what I mean. Right, so everyone, this is quite clearly my throttle hand, throttle grip, should I say. I've got many LED lights facing it. This is a new one that I bought from Screwfix the other night because I just saw it and thought, yeah, I'm having that. I haven't done anything to this, obviously got the bark busters in place. There is a video coming, I've been saying there's a video coming on the bark busters for about 2 months now. It's filmed, it's ready to go. It'll be up in the next couple of weeks if you're waiting for that. This is quite clearly the standard throttle grip for the heated grips for KTM, and that is all we're trying to get rid of. It's barely anything, but it's enough that when you go to engage the throttle, you've got that movement before the throttle engages. So that is what we're doing. You've got 2 screws. This is underneath, by the way. So you have got 1 screw there, which I think is just a Phillips, and then another one on the other side. Let me undo that and I'll bring you back in a second. Hoping you guys can see this. I've just taken off this, which is the top to that. I did think they were Phillips heads, but they're actually Torx heads. Now, be incredibly careful when you take this off if you have heated grips. The reason I say that is around here, you have this little cable that comes in here. There's 2 of them and they sit in this recess down there. That is a very, well, let's put it this way, I've just had these heated grips replaced because that cable broke. I don't know whether it was something I did or part of the design, but that cable broke, meaning my right heated grip stopped working. To get this out, you're going to need to undo any bar end you have because you're going to need to slide. It's just started raining, so you're probably able to hear that now. So you're going to need to slide this heated grip out, basically. Down here, you can see the plastic goes into the metal. If you can hear rain, it's because I've got a tin roof on my garage and it's raining heavily. So let me get that done and I'll bring you back in a second. So as you can see now, obviously the bark buster's off. There's no bark buster. Now the throttle grip will come away from this main housing now. So you'll see there, it literally comes away. Again, be very careful because that grip, that little thing there will pop out if you're not careful. There are 2 wires there that come in and they are very susceptible to breaking. Mine broke just on the top there. Now what we are doing, see those little notches there on the, I'll highlight them on screen, these little ones here. They fit in to those notches there. This is really, this GoPro's so shit for focusing. But there is a gap between the 2 of them. I don't know whether you can see that. The spacers literally fit into this here. They go over that and then it takes out that free play. That is literally it. That's all you're doing. If I have a quick look at these are the spacers. This is my new Lone Rider tail pack review coming. But as you can see in here, as you could probably not see in here because the GoPro won't focus, they're just little U-shaped bits of plastic. That's literally it. Now, as you can see here, I have 4 throttle spacers. You only need 2 of them, but obviously they've given me a backup. One of them in the pack has already been crushed, so you do normally get 5. Now, one thing I think I might have to do, because these seem a little bit thicker, is just sand them down a touch to make sure they actually fit in. Jake, who works at the KTM centre in Hemel, told me to do this, but he put some grease, like a light layer of grease over them, just to make sure they hold in place, because as you can imagine, they are fiddly as fuck when you're trying to fit them into that tiny little hole there. They are really, really fiddly. Now, if you've got a set of like needle nose pliers, like thin needle nose pliers, that will help you massively as well. I'm going to get them in there. It's going to be a faff, so I don't want to try and hold a camera, record audio and all sorts of stuff while I'm doing it, but I'll bring you back afterwards. I'm going to put a dab of grease on the inside and the outside. So as you might have seen there, I used a set of needle nose pliers just to support the actual plastic because it is very thin. I've got some P600 sandpaper, laid it flat, and then gently rub just on top of them. Careful, don't get too excited. And then I've just got some multi-purpose grease that I just put a dab on. Some of you get that, some of you are way too old to understand that. Now, you might not be able to see very well because the GoPro is shit at focusing, but there is a little bit of plastic that's just surrounding that, and you can't really see that one, but it's down there. Slightly awkward to get in. I just used a set of generic needle nose pliers to do it. As you can see there, we kind of just want to slip over the top of it. It might need a little bit of wiggling to get it in there. If it doesn't go in, then you might need to take them out and re-sand them down a little bit further. I'm going to do this because it's fiddly AF and come back in a second. So we are done. We got it in. What I ended up doing in the end, these haven't been sanded down any more than I had already sanded. So I put them in the outer rather than on the inner part. Now what that did is, because when I put it on the inner part, say, peace bro, or the actual plastic of the grip is like that, and then you put the thing over the top, and because it's plastic, there's nothing holding it in place, so it kind of splays a bit more, and then you can't get the grip over it when you try and push it in. Whereas if you put the negative of it, or the female part of it, it's like that, and you're putting it inside. There's a lot of connotations that I'm trying not to do here, but you're like that. You put it inside so it holds it in place, and then it's slid in really easily. God, I'm so childish, aren't I? But yeah, anyway, so that is now in place. You can see no wires are broken as far as I'm aware, unless it's managed to break inside the actual grip itself. But yeah, all good. I'm just going to reassemble with all this sort of stuff on top of that, and then we should be good. Right, let me get that back together, and I'll bring you guys back in 2 seconds this time. Ladies and gents, we're back together. Well, mostly gents, but I know there are a few of you out there that are ladies that are watching, and I appreciate you. Bark Buster's back on, all the everything's back on, all the everything's back on. I've also started the bike, tested the heat grips work, which is fine, they seem to work. I did have a little panic because I turned the bike on and put the heat grips on high and nothing happened, because the bike needs to be started for them to start heating up, because otherwise they'll drain your battery. Safety feature, but I'm a moron. Everything's back together, everything's tightened up, Bark Buster's back on, and now there is no movement at all in that grip. As soon as you turn that, it is turning the throttle. I'm getting the resistance from the actual throttle itself. So there's no movement at all, which is delightful. Obviously, if you've been watching the channel a while, I've had this bike remapped, so the bottom end is really smooth anyway. So taking out that last little bit of throttle free play, that was really difficult to say. So taking out that last little bit of throttle free play, why is that so hard to say? Throttle free play is just going to mean it's like buttery smooth around town, which I'm really excited for. That mod was £8. £8. So I think it's £7.99 plus postage. So I call it £11 if you choose next day delivery kind of thing. You could probably cut up a bit of any old sort of thin plastic like very thin plastic and use the same thing. Like, it doesn't have to cost you anything. You could probably use an old milk carton or something like that. For the sake of me not having to do that and having something that fits straight away, banging, £8. So there you go, that's a January pocket saving modification for your bike. So now you can't moan that all I ever do is buy expensive things for this bike. I still buy quite a lot of expensive stuff, don't I? Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in next week's video, which I think is probably going to be my Cornwall trip. When I was down in Cornwall, I did a run of the Atlantic Highway. So that, I think, might be next week. And if it's not, then it's not. So it'll be something else. Happy New Year, and I hope you had a great Christmas, even though it's been like a month since Christmas. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye. What I am going to do, let's piss the neighbours off, shall we? God, it sounds so good. That is instant.